Welcome back, everyone. This is your history book, Chapter 2, Section 4, beginning on page 48, Exploring North America. American Diary. In 1639, a French nun named Marie of the Incarnation arrived in Quebec, New France's first colony. To convert Native Americans, she learned their languages and wrote religious books in those languages. In a letter she wrote, quote, "You'll perhaps laugh that at the age of 50 years I am beginning to study a new tongue, language, but one must undertake all things for the service of God and the salvation of one's neighbor." From the book Word from New France. A divided church. Main idea. Protestantism became a powerful religious force in Europe during the 1600s. History in you. What motivates people to demand changes? Read to find out why Christianity changed in the 1500s. The desire to spread Christianity was a major reason that Europeans explored and settled North America. The earlier explorers and settlers were Roman Catholics. As overseas exploration was advancing in the 1500s, a religious upheaval in Europe was sparking religious divisions. In 1517, Martin Luther, a German priest, nailed a list of complaints about the Catholic Church on a local church door. Luther declared that the Bible was the only true guide for Christians. He rejected many church practices, even the authority of the Pope, because they were not mentioned in the Bible. Luther also believed that faith rather than good deeds was the way to salvation. Within a few years, Luther had many followers who broke away from Catholicism to begin their own Christian churches. Luther's protests were the start of a great religious and historical movement known as the Protestant Reformation. Protestantism spreads in Europe. From Germany, Luther's ideas spread rapidly. John Calvin, a French religious thinker who lived in Geneva, Switzerland, also broke away from the Catholic Church. Like Luther, Calvin rejected the idea that good works alone would ensure a person's salvation and believed in the all-powerful nature of God. Calvinists spread their faith to other people. Missionaries were sent from Geneva to all parts of Europe. Calvinism was established in France, the Netherlands, Scotland, and Central and Eastern Europe. In England, King Henry VIII also left the Catholic Church, but not for strictly religious reasons. Pope Clement VII refused Henry's request to declare his first marriage invalid. In 1534, the English Parliament, working with the king, denied the authority of the Pope and recognized the king as the head of the new Church of England. Henry's daughter, Queen Elizabeth I, continued his religious reforms. England became firmly established as a Protestant nation. Religious rivalries in the Americas. The religious divisions between Catholics and Protestants in Europe also crossed the Atlantic. Spanish and French Catholics worked to spread their faith to the Native Americans. The Spanish settled in the southwestern and southeastern regions of North America, and the French settled in the northeast. Dutch and English Protestants established colonies in lands along the Atlantic coast between the French and the Spanish settlements. Some of the English settlements were founded by Protestants who wanted to practice their beliefs in peace. Reading check. Explaining. What role did religion play in the exploration of North America? Economic rivalry. Main idea. European nations competed to establish colonies in the Americas. History in you. Do you know if land in some parts of your neighborhood is more valuable than in other parts? Read to learn what the Dutch paid for Manhattan Island. Religion was only one of the factors that pushed European nations across the Atlantic Ocean. The promise of great wealth was equally strong, especially as other Europeans watched Spain acquire gold and other riches from its colonies. According to the economic theory of mercantilism, which was popular at the time, a nation's power is based on its wealth. Rulers tried to increase their nation's total wealth by acquiring gold and silver and by developing a continuing trade with other regions. Mercantilism provided great opportunities for individual merchants to make money. It also increased rivalry between nations. Several countries in Europe competed for overseas territory that could produce wealth. They wanted to acquire colonies in the Americas that could provide valuable resources such as gold and silver or raw materials. The colonies also would serve as a place to sell European products. The Columbian Exchange. The voyages of Columbus and other European explorers brought together two parts of the globe that previously had no contact: the continents of Europe, Asia, and Africa in one hemisphere, and the Americas in the other. These contacts led to an exchange of plants, animals, and diseases that greatly altered life on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. Scholars refer to this transfer as the Columbian Exchange. A Northwest Passage. The Treaty of Tordesillas had divided the Americas between Spain and Portugal. It did not allow for claims by other nations. England, France, and the Netherlands ignored the treaty. During the 1500s and early 1600s, these countries sent explorers to chart or map the coast of North America and later established trade and colonies. Because the voyage to Asia, either around the southern tip of Africa or around South America, was long and difficult, they hoped to discover a northwest passage to Asia, a direct water route through the Americas. In 1497, England sent John Cabot, an Italian, to look for a northern route to Asia. Cabot probably landed on the coast of present-day Newfoundland. England used Cabot's voyage as the basis for its claims to North America. In 1524, France hired an Italian, Giovanni de Verrazzano, to look for a northern sea route. Verrazzano explored the coast of North America from present-day Nova Scotia down to the Carolinas. In 1535, French explorer Jacques Cartier sailed up the St. Lawrence River, hoping it would lead to the Pacific. From a mountain next to a Huron village, on the village, Cartier wrote, quote, "One sees a very great distance," close quote. He named the peak Mont Royal, which means Royal Mountain. This is the site of the city now called Montreal. Cartier heard stories about gold, but he found neither gold nor a sea route to Asia. Hudson's discoveries. The Netherlands, too, wanted to find a passage through the Americas. The Dutch nation hired Henry Hudson, an English sailor, to explore. In 1609, he discovered the river that now bears his name. In his ship, the Half Moon, Hudson sailed north on the Hudson River as far as the site of present-day Albany. Deciding that he had not found a passage to India, he turned back. The following year, Hudson tried again, this time sent by England. On this voyage, Hudson and his crew discovered the huge bay that today bears his name. Thinking he had reached the Pacific, Hudson spent months looking for an outlet. His unhappy crew, however, rebelled. Hudson, his son, and a few sailors were set adrift in a small boat and never seen again. French trading posts. France showed little interest in building an empire in the Americas. Its rulers focused on political and religious conflicts at home. The French saw North America as an opportunity to make profits from fishing and fur trading rather than as a place to settle. Furs were popular in Europe. Traders made large profits from beaver pelts acquired in North America from Native Americans. In 1608, a French fur trading company sent Samuel de Champlain to found a settlement in Quebec and what is now Canada. Champlain made several trips to the region and discovered Lake Champlain. He discovered the beautiful scenery and abundant wildlife as well as the Native Americans he met there. From Quebec, the French moved into other parts of Canada where they built trading posts to collect furs gathered by the Native Americans and French trappers. The trappers were called coureurs de bois, meaning runners of the woods. Dutch settlements. After Hudson's voyage, the Dutch began to explore North America. Eager for world trade, the Netherlands had a large fleet of trading ships that sailed all over the world. In 1621, the Dutch West India Company set up a colony, New Netherland, in North America. There they settled at Fort Orange, later Albany, on the Hudson River, and on Burlington Island in New Jersey. They also set up Fort Nassau near what is today Philadelphia. The center of the new colony was New Amsterdam, located on the tip of Manhattan Island, where the Hudson River enters New York Harbor. In 1626, Governor Peter Minuet paid the Man Hates people 60 Dutch guilders, about $24, in goods, cloth, axes, and hoes for the island, which is today New York City. Reading check. Analyzing. How did mercantilism create rivalries between European nations? Section 4 Review. Define the following. Mercantilism. Globe. Columbian Exchange. Chart. Northwest Passage. Courrier de Bois. Main ideas, explaining what was the Protestant Reformation. 3, discussing how did France's goals in North America differ from those of other European nations. 4, comparing and contrasting. Discuss how Martin Luther's beliefs differed from those of Roman Catholics of his time. And answer the essential question number 7, why did European nations establish colonies in North America? Okay, that does it for Chapter 2, Section 4.